Don't you worry, the clip's about to begin, but don't forget to subscribe. Or else, don't make me turn this website around.
Andy in Colorado, you are on with Shannon and Matt. How are you?
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Shannon. Hi, Matt. I'm doing well. How are you?
You're in your car, aren't you?
I am. I have to go pick up my partner from work. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's just,
Okay.
I having done shows long enough, I can tell by the background noise that you are currently mobile. But how you doing?
Yeah.
And are you okay?
I'm doing all right. I am all right. Thank you for asking.
Sweet. How can we help?
I'm so proud of you.
Sorry. Yeah,
So I was just talking on that,
actually called in with a question about magic and skepticism, and
Ooh.
I did not know the news about James Randi before being put on hold and hearing you talk about it. It's a complete, it's very, tragic that it happened, and also a complete coincidence. But I was just, I've noticed a correlation just with magicians that I've seen and magicians that I know of, being knowledgeable in magic and potentially being in the field of magic as professionally, and having a higher level of skepticism. I don't know if that's a good phrasing for it, but I think that they're correlated. I don't know if I feel comfortable proposing a causal link at the moment, but I was just wondering what your thoughts on that are.
It'd be a mistake. I'm assuming that if I hang up on you now, you can still hear the show?
I can put on the stream, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to hang up on you then. I'm not even going to give you a choice. I'm going to hang up on you right now, Andy, and then I'm going to answer your question offline.
Sounds good.
Cool. Everybody's so nice. All these years, people complained about me hanging up on people, and I do it here. Nobody cares. They hang up on me. I hang up on them. So let me talk for a couple minutes briefly about skepticism and magic. Yes, the two do tend to go hand in hand. However, it may not be as tightly intersected as you think. This was the point that James Randi tried to make with Project Alpha, is that when it comes to tests for something that's supernatural or paranormal, you really, 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 really want to get the experts in how we fool ourselves, and that's magicians involved in this in order to help rule out any trickery. This was the Project Alpha was something that Randi put together with two young mentalists. I mentioned it briefly, and they sent them in to pretend that they could do these things. And they went in with specific instructions from Randi, which is if anybody asks you, are you faking this? You have to be honest and say yes right from the get-go. And this is something that I toss out in my show, my Magic and Skepticism show, because I say that, and let me turn on show mode. And so Randi sent these gentlemen out to try to fool the scientists, and he did it with this very specific instruction, which is that if at any point anybody asks you if you're faking it, you have to come forward and say, yes, in fact, we are faking it, and here's the deal. And then the game is up. And the problem is, throughout all the tests over all that time, nobody ever asked them. And from audiences, it's including skeptic audiences, it's like, ooh, how stupid of them to never ask. And as soon as they give that response, I'm like, why would they? If someone is in front of you and they're showing you that they can move things supposedly with their mind, why would you ever ask, are you faking it? Because if they're faking it, they're not going to just say, there's no reason to think they're going to say, yes, you got me. I was faking it the whole time. Because you're either engaged with someone who is trying to fool you, in which case there's no motivation for them to be honest about it, or you're with the person who's ostensibly thinks they can do what they can do. And so we shouldn't mock the scientists there for never asking, are you faking it? But what we should point out is that throughout this entire experiment, the scientists were contacting Randi saying, hey, we've got these guys here who can do this and this and this. And Randi's like, well, have you tried this? Have you tried this? And he was giving them test protocols that would have foiled the very people he sent. And they were not strictly following the test protocols. One of them was, don't let these two touch anything that's part of the experiment. And so they would do that for a while. And, Danacek would be sitting there going, well, I guess it's not working. There's a tag on there that's interfering, with my ability to do this. Can we take the tag off, reach out and do the tag off, do whatever manipulation he needed to do to give him access? And boom, all of a sudden, he's doing it again. And so don't be so hard on the people who didn't ask, are you faking it? That's human nature. Be hard on them for saying, hey, we'd like to test for this, and we have a potential expert in how we could be fooled. And yet we were fooled. And it's partly because we did not pay attention to that expert. That was Randy's point. Now, there are tons of magicians that are skeptics. There are tons of magicians that are atheists and secularists. There is something important about once you learn how people fool themselves and how to exploit that to do a magic trick, you should be, hopefully, more able to see when you are being fooled and when other people are being fooled and when somebody's taking advantage of this. And this is where the debunking idea of Houdini going out to show the psychics are frauds. But skepticism isn't about debunking. It's not about trying to disprove something. Skepticism is about trying to prove something and then either doing it or failing to do it. And that's why when somebody goes and applies for the James Randi Educational Foundation's $1 million prize, which is not something you can apply for now, when they fail publicly in front of everybody, they'll come up with excuses. They don't generally stop believing. And the bigger problem is that while you would think these would be the people who'd be the biggest experts on deception, you have this situation with Doug Henning, who was a Canadian magician, one of my favorites growing up. He was wearing the tie-dye outfits and unitards and whatever, and dancing around and being all hippy dippy and didn't look like the top hat and coat. I don't know who I'm hearing, but so anyway, it was Doug Henning who thought, and he got tied up in transcendental meditation and had an illness and thought that he could fly. Randy and I talked about this. If you find the video on YouTube of me and Randy sitting there having that conversation, Randy got a letter from Doug Henning shortly before his death, where Doug had convinced himself that he had learned the secret of actually flying. And if you watch the transcendental meditation advocates, what they're doing was not flying. What they're doing is sitting cross-legged on the floor, bouncing. But Doug's dead. And Doug, who was undeniably a huge force in magic to update things, to make it modern, to draw people in to where it wasn't stuffy. I mean, you can mark moments in the history of magic that are significant because of the people. And Doug Henning coming to prominence was one of them. David Copperfield coming to prominence was another one. David Blaine coming to prominence was another of them. But yeah, you can know how people are fooled and still be fooled. The second you think that you're unlikely to be fooled, it's probably too late.
Sorry.
No, it's no problem. I just didn't know if I was hearing it from you or David or whatever else. But
a small child fighting with a small cat.
Hey, thanks for checking out this clip for The Line. While you're here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and then share this with that bitter uncle of yours who loves talking about the good old days.